Here in 5. Good evening, Canby, and welcome to the Canby Urban Renewal Agency special meeting of March 4th, 2015. Let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now a moment of silence, please, for our first responders and our armed forces who protect us in harm's way. Thank you. Please be seated. We have our first opportunity for citizen input at this point. I don't have any yellow cards. Did anyone wish to speak to any items not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to community announcements. Kim, do you have anything?
I have one. CTV is now streaming live our City Council, Agency, and Planning Commission meetings. So if anyone wants to look at them live, they can go to the CTV5's YouTube page. And we'll have links on our webpage, and CTV5 will have links on their webpage to YouTube too.
Very good. Thank you. Any other community announcements? Amanda, do you have handy the times and dates of our public input meetings on the Civic Building?
I do.
You want to go ahead and announce those?
Sure. I have 5 public meetings scheduled. The first 2 meetings are next week, Tuesday, March 10th, and Wednesday, March 11th. The March 10th meeting is from 7 to 9 at the Canby Police Facility Community Room. That's located at 1175 Northwest 3rd Avenue. And on Wednesday, March 11th, 7 to 9 at Hope Village, located at 1535 South Ivy Street. The first 2 meetings, the architects will be there to gather information, hear comments and concerns and thoughts about what people are thinking about what this building would look like. And then there's 2 more meetings scheduled, Wednesday, April 8th at the Police Facility Community Room, and Thursday, April 9th at Hope Village. All meetings are from 7 to 9 p.m. The second 2 meetings will be to discuss concepts, ideas, kind of get some direction from what input they received from the first 2 meetings. And the 5th meeting, final meeting, Tuesday, April 14th at the Police Facility Community Room, and they'll bring back everything that they collected in those first 4 meetings.
Very good.
Excellent. The Canby Herald also has all those dates on the front page this
Yep.
week.
They're on our webpage. There's a link on the city webpage, and the Herald has the dates on the front of their paper as well.
Very good. Thank you, Amanda. I should mention tonight that our URA director was not able to be with us tonight, but we're blessed to have Amanda Zyber guiding us tonight. She's our city assistant administrator, and we're also fortunate to have Joe Lindsay, our city attorney, with us tonight. We'll be having a public hearing, and Joe's here to help make sure that we hear correctly. But we do have a quorum, and our esteemed vice chair has survived traffic and is here. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. And just in time, too, because we are up for the consent agenda.
Oh, well, great. Let me read that real quick. I move to approve the consent agenda, which include the minutes from the February 18th, 2015 URA agency special meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Vice Chair Hodson, seconded by Commissioner Hensley to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the February 18th, 2015 URD agency special meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 7-0. Next up, we have a public hearing tonight on the construction manager general contractor process. And Amanda will be guiding us through that and explaining to the audience what the CMGC, construction manager general contractor process is and what's special about it. This would be our 4th major step that the agency is taking in pursuing the construction of our new civic building, library and city hall combination. We've procured the property, and if you've been down by Cutsforth lately, you've seen, and our library director, Melissa, is smiling very large, you've seen fencing and large equipment as we've been demoing the buildings that are there and preparing for site work. So it's very exciting to see things physically happening now. Next, we've engaged a construction manager, Lenore LLC, and its principal, Ken, is here tonight in the audience. And at our last meeting, we awarded a contract and engaged our architect, Scott Edwards Associates, architects, gotta say it right. The principal there is Sid Scott, and you'll be seeing them at the public input meetings that Amanda just announced. So very exciting. This is our next step, whether to adopt a CMGC process going forward for construction. And with that, this will be a public hearing, so bear with me. I need to read the following statement. The matter presently before the hearing body requires a public hearing. All interested persons in attendance shall be heard on the matter. If you wish to testify on this matter, please fill out a yellow comment card and give it to our city recorder. At the appropriate time, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and interest in the matter. Those people that are interested in testifying as either proponents or opponents, please indicate your desire to speak by raising your hands at this time. For longer presentations, proponents and opponents may buy time from one another. In doing so, those either in favor or opposed may allocate their time to a spokesperson who will represent the entire group. All questions must be directed through the chair. Any evidence to be considered must be submitted to the hearing body for public access. All written testimony received both for and against shall be summarized by staff and presented briefly to the hearing body during the staff report. The public hearing will be conducted as follows. First, the staff report. Second, questions, if any, by the hearing body. Then that will be followed by open public testimony with proponents of not more than 5 minutes apiece, followed by opponents of not more than 5 minutes apiece. We will then close the public hearing. That will be followed up by any questions by the hearing body and then discussion by the hearing body. A decision shall be made by the hearing body at the close of the hearing, or the matter will be continued to a date certain in the future. This will be the only notice of that date you will receive. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure of the hearing? All right, seeing none, we'll open the public hearing, and with that, turn it over to Amanda.
Thank you. I'll apologize a little bit up front because there's a lot of information here, and because it's really important that everyone has the opportunity to hear and understand all the details, I'll probably be reading verbatim some of this. And I'll try to get through it quickly so it's not too boring, but I apologize for just reading some of these documents directly. There are some handouts in the back as well if anyone wants to follow, and this is posted on the website as well. The process that we'll be going through tonight is a review of some statutory authority, talk about some considerations for adoption, some general information regarding the project that we're discussing, the advantages of the CMGC method, summary of findings and factors that need to be considered, and then a recommendation. So I'll start with the Urban Renewal Agency statutory authority. ORS 279C.335 subsection 2 permits a local contract review board to exempt certain contracts from traditional competitive bidding upon approval of specified findings. The Urban Renewal Agency, through its commissioners, acts as the local contract review board. The local contract review board must approve or disapprove specific findings that would support awarding a contract without the competitive bid requirement. The procurement must be conducted in accordance with model rules adopted by the Attorney General under ORS 279A.065. Considerations for adoption. I forwarded it. The local contract review board must demonstrate that the exemption is unlikely to encourage favoritism in awarding public improvement contracts or substantially diminish competition for public improvement contracts, and that awarding a public improvement contract under the exemption will likely result in substantial cost savings and other substantial benefits to the contracting agency. The things that we'll be talking about in the staff report should support those exemptions. The local contract review board, in making that demonstration, must consider the type, cost, and amount of the contract and a number of additional factors. Some information about the project that we're discussing, which is a combination library civic building project. Recent studies identified that space for both the library and other city services, including city hall, administration, IT, finance, and development services, and others as required, is inadequate to meet current and future space needs. The facilities assessment by the DLR Group in 2005 stated, "The overarching finding of the assessment is that all facilities have a dramatic need for more space." That study recommended immediate space needs of 37% and long-term needs at 70%. FFA and DLR Group Library Facility Needs Assessment in 2009 recommended a library with 25,700 square feet. The current library is about 11,000 square feet. The agency has acquired and is acquiring land located east of North Ivy Street and adjacent to Northeast 2nd Avenue. The agency has initiated the vacation of a portion of North Juniper Street. Approximate square footage of the acquired land and vacated street is 32,028 square feet. The agency desires to build a project of approximately 36,000 square feet with the allocation between the library, civic, and shared space being worked out in the design phase. The estimated construction budget is $6.2 million. The project will require strategic planning and critical coordination of remediation, demolition, and utility relocation. There's several utilities located under the portion of Juniper Street that will be vacated. The coordination of customer access to services and the allocation of space uses between the library and civic component of the project will be both critical and complex, and subject to ongoing design and construction review, resulting in the potential for significant changes to design and the reallocation of program space through the course of construction. The project will be constructed with a very tight budget constraint and making it critical that both the schedule and budget be closely monitored and controlled. Other advantages of the CMGC is the opportunity to fast-track construction. The agency seeks to open and begin occupying the new building by June 30th of 2016. The CMGC method offers an option to initiate a phased approach, which we would incorporate into our CMGC request for proposal, including the establishment of a separate guaranteed maximum price for each phase of construction. Early construction activities such as a site prep, utility placement, and foundation construction can begin as design activities continue simultaneously on other aspects of the project. The phased construction approach using the CMGC method can improve market timing, coordinate construction activities with compatible weather conditions, and support efforts to maintain a tight project budget and schedule. That would not be possible utilizing a traditional design bid build delivery method. The CMGC method will assist in identifying and delivering the precise space and amenity needs of the various city departments that now operate in discrete locations in downtown Canby, and that's in 4 separate locations. So we have some findings of fact, and the required summary findings, as noted earlier, the local contract review board must demonstrate that certain criteria can be met. The required findings, again, it's unlikely that the exemption will encourage favoritism or substantially diminish competition, and the exemption will likely result in substantial cost savings and other substantial benefits to the agency. In making the findings, the local contract review board must consider the type, cost, and amount of the contract and the following 14 additional factors. So the first factor, how many persons are available to bid? The agency anticipates that competition for this contract will be similar to that experience in other projects of this type. The competition will remain open to all qualifying proposers. The evaluation and solicitation process employed will be open and impartial. Selection will be made on the basis of final proposed scores derived from price and other components, which expand the ground of competition beyond price alone to include experience, quality, innovation factors, etc. The competitive process used to to award subcontracts for all competitively bid construction work will be specified in the CMGC contract and will be monitored closely by the agency. Another factor to be considered, the construction budget and the projected operating costs for the completed public improvement. The total budget is approximately $9.3 million with a construction budget of $6.2 million. City library and city office staff currently occupy older, inefficient buildings. The new facility will be constructed with energy-saving features. The active participation of the general contractor via the CMGC process in facility and systems design will greatly improve the overall efficiency of the building and building systems. This will afford the agency the very best opportunity to construct a facility focused on reducing ongoing operating costs. I know. Public benefits that may result from granting the exemption. Granting the exemption will enable the agency to move more rapidly to address the space constraints of the various city functions and improve the city's ability to serve the needs of the community. The City of Canby's current library has been deemed to be insufficient in its present facility to provide appropriate services. The city's current City Hall, Council Chambers, Finance Department, and Development Services are each located in separate energy inefficient buildings, resulting in inefficient delivery of public services, increased operating costs, and greater inconvenience to residents of Canby wishing to access certain city services. Staff will be relocated from existing buildings, and it is anticipated that the old buildings and adjacent property will be sold for private development. Use of CMGC will shorten the overall duration of the project and provide for completion of the project by the due date. The need to deliver the project on an accelerated time schedule and the need to stay within or under a tight budget for the project are related and will benefit the public in at least two ways. The sooner the agency completes the project, the sooner the various departments that are now spread across multiple physical spaces will consolidate into one single space. The sooner this consolidation occurs, the earlier the city will realize operational cost savings from the completed project. The sooner the agency completes the project, the sooner the city may market and sell the various properties where the above described city services are currently located. The sale of those properties will increase the relevant fund balances of the city, permitting the city to utilize the sale proceeds for the public's benefit more quickly than would likely occur if the agency proceeded with traditional bidding for the project. Use of the guaranteed maximum price establishes a maximum price prior to completion of documents. With the CMGC participating in this phase, they will be able to offer suggestions for building improvement and make suggestions that will reduce cost. The establishment of the GMPs will, to the extent not possible with the traditional design bid build process, provide the greatest production possible to the agency that the project will be delivered on time and at or under budget. And for anybody that's not aware, this process brings on the general contractor fairly soon in the process so that the entire team, being the owner's rep, and I think we're going to get to that, but the owner's rep, the architect, the construction manager, and the general contractor all work together to work out any issues throughout the course of the project instead of waiting to the end. Whether value engineering techniques may decrease the cost of the public improvement. The most successful project will be achieved in an environment that supports ongoing design and construction review, with the result being the opportunity for successful adaptations in design and program space through the course of construction. Value engineering is done most effectively by a team consisting of the owner, architect, consultants, and contractor. When the contractor participates, the team can render the most comprehensive evaluation of all factors that affect the cost, quality, and schedule of the project. Value engineering and constructability evaluations performed by the CMGC are vital to the success of the project and ensuring to the greatest degree possible that the project budget is not exceeded. Through a negotiated contract, the CMGC will be intimately familiar with the project and its design prior to receipt of all subcontractor bids. We're on finding our factor 5 of 14 right now. The cost and availability of specialized expertise that is necessary for the public improvement. Because the features and components of the library are neither repetitive nor generally available for off-the-shelf purchase, the contractor ultimately selected as a CMGC will demonstrate experience and expertise in providing CMGC services in the library projects and civic buildings or closely related projects, and will be well qualified in the area of sustainable and energy-efficient construction methodologies. The nature of this project will require strategic planning and critical coordination of road vacations, existing building remediation and demolition, utility relocation, and new construction. The agency anticipates that the specialized expertise required of a CMGC will be readily available in light of the numerous examples of similar projects in Oregon delivered through a CMGC process. And a similar example of that is the Oregon City Library, which is also going through a similar process right now. Any likely increase in public safety. The project will provide for safe public access and full compliance with ADA requirements. All work during construction will be done in accordance with Oregon OSHA safety regulations. The CMGC selected will be highly qualified and capable and show evidence of construction safety practices that are at the highest level of integrity. The CMGC's input into work and trade sequencing and construction methodologies can reduce issues related to safety and will provide for close controls and related risk reductions on the site. In recent years, changes necessitated the removal of the municipal court activities from City Hall and the council chambers to the Canby Police Department. A thorough analysis of the security risks and overall benefits and costs associated with relocating court operations back to the Civic Building will be an important component of this project. Whether granting the exemption may reduce risks to the contracting agency or the public that are related to the public improvement. Many decisions will be required during the design process that will benefit from immediate feedback on constructability and pricing. The CMGC process will assist in providing a scope of work and constructible design that best meets the requirements of the project with significantly lower risk to project costs. When the CMGC participates in the design process, it is reasonably expected that fewer change orders will occur during construction. As a result, the project is more likely to be completed on time and within budget. In addition, fewer change orders reduce the administrative cost of the project management for both the agency and the contractor. The design bid build method typically results in the contractor applying a markup of approximately 15% on construction change orders. The GMP method applies lower predetermined markups. While the actual markup is negotiated with the general contractor, the experience of the industry has been that the markup is more in the range of 3 to 5%. If actual costs are below the GMP, the agency will recognize the full value of the savings. When the CMGC completes the project, any savings between the GMP and the actual cost will accrue to the agency. We're halfway through the findings.
Good.
Doing good.
You're doing great.
Whether granting the exemption will affect the sources of funding for the public improvement. Granting the exemption is not anticipated to affect any funding sources for the public improvement. Funding will be coming from two primary sources: a bond issued through the city's Urban Renewal Agency and a grant from Clackamas County. Whether granting the exemption will better enable the contracting agency to control the impact that market conditions may have on the cost of and time necessary to complete the public improvements. The CMGC will inform the project team of current market conditions, labor and materials availability, and construction methodologies that can reduce design and construction time and costs. Use of the CMGC process provides an opportunity to fast-track construction. Because the project team has an option to initiate the phased approach, early construction activities such as site prep, utility placement, and foundation construction can begin as design activities continue on other aspects of the project. Use of the phased construction approach and two separate GMPs, one for site work, utilities, and foundation, and one for building construction, can improve market timing, support efforts to maintain a tight project schedule, and generate overall project cost savings. Whether granting the exemption will better enable the contracting agency to address the size and technical complexity of the public improvement. Technical expertise will be required for environmental management, quality management, scheduling, estimating, meeting sustainable facility standards and guidelines, and ensuring energy efficiency. The project is technically complex due to the integration of the Canby Library with the Civic Building and the integration of various city departments and services under one roof from 4 separate locations. Expertise in energy-efficient building practices and sustainable materials is also an integral part of the project and will determine the agency's ability to successfully acquire energy-efficient financial incentives. This project also requires technical expertise and experience in commercial construction involving public entities. The CMGC process enables the agency to competitively select a prime contractor who has the necessary competence to deal with the complexities of this project and provide quality workmanship, dependable performance, fair and reasonable pricing, and efficient management as a project team member. Whether the public improvement involves new construction or renovates or remodels an existing structure. This project is new construction and will consolidate numerous city functions into a single facility. The programming of the facility must allow the seamless integration of a variety of city services and do it in a manner that offers the greatest safety and security for the public, volunteers, and members of city staff. Whether the public improvement will be occupied or unoccupied during construction. The public improvement will be unoccupied during construction. Staff service will continue to be delivered in several different locations. The last couple findings of fact. Whether the public improvement will require a single-phase construction work or multiple phases of construction work to address specific project conditions. The agency anticipates the use of phased construction methodology to better coordinate and schedule construction activities. Early construction activities, such as site prep, utility placement, and foundation construction, can begin as design activities continue on other aspects of the project. And I do apologize, I am repeating some of these, but this criteria is relevant on several different factors. Use of the phased construction approach can improve market timing, accommodate changing weather conditions, support efforts to maintain a tight project schedule, and generate overall project cost savings. These fast-track benefits are not available under the low bid process. The agency anticipates that 2 separate GMPs will be issued, one for site work, utilities, and foundation, and a second GMP for building construction. The last finding of fact, whether the contracting agency has or has retained under contract and will use contracting agency personnel, consultants, and legal counsel that have necessary expertise and substantial experience in alternative contracting methods to assist us in developing the alternative contracting method that the contracting agency will use to award the public improvement contract. We have 3 specifically that we're noting. Lenore LLC has been selected as the project construction manager. Kenneth Andrews is the principal at Lenore and brings with him many years of experience working with the CMGC alternate form of contracting. Mr. Andrews' experience includes many CMGC projects working with Milstead and Associates. Scott Edwards Architecture, SEA, is anticipated to fill the role of project architect. SEA has years of experience working with CMGC projects and is currently architect of record for the Oregon City Public Library project, a project that is also utilizing the CMGC alternate contracting method of contracting. The agency has access to and will utilize as necessary the service of legal counsel to advise the agency on matters relating to awarding the project contract, contract negotiations, contract administration, and enforcement of the terms of the public improvement contract. The agency is currently engaged the services of David Doofman with Barry Elsner and Hammond. That concludes the review of the findings. The recommendation is that we conduct a public hearing to accept comment from the interested parties. Sitting as the local contract review board, adopt URR 15004 and the findings as presented in the staff report, thereby granting exemption of the public improvement contract from the competitive bidding process and approving the alternative contract method of CMGC for the Canby Library Civic Building.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. take a breath and a drink there. Okay, agency. So in a nutshell for the audience, the norm in public contracting is a design bid build process where everything is specified up front and then you release a request for bids from interested contractors and then you award the bid to the lowest qualified bidder. And with CMGC, the way the legislature views this process is that it's an exemption. It's an alternative path from that normal process. That's why you've heard Amanda use the phrase exemption a lot. And the legislature has set forth all of this criteria that has to be addressed, and then we as an agency have to be satisfied that staff has built a case that justifies properly the use of CMGC and satisfies all the legislative requirements. Is that a good summary, Joe?
It is.
Of why we're here? Okay.
Yeah, as statutorily, there is set out if you're going to use this exemption, that you have to meet exactly the factors that are laid out as Amanda laid them out.
Very good. And so now we are in the public hearing. Now is the opportunity for the agency to ask questions about what has been presented tonight, to help yourself be convinced that everything's been addressed, get any clarification. Before we start into that, I'll put Amanda a little bit on the spot. Could you summarize for us Canby's experience and history with CMGC?
Sure. We used the CMGC method when we built the police facility, and on the prior library project, we had gone down the path of the CMGC method as well. And it is a very collaborative effort between the owners, the architects, and the contractors from the very beginning to make sure that the cost to design meets the cost to build, that you're meeting the criteria that you need in your facility, and you're addressing anything that might come up early in the process. And it's been a very successful process in the past. And with the police facility, allowed us to build a building on time and within the budget.
Very good, thank you. Okay, commissioners, feel free to ask questions of staff. Just go ahead and jump in. No need to recognize through me. Just politely jump in and ask away.
I'll jump.
Go ahead.
I think it's a basic terminology question, maybe. So, in the last page, I think. So just the term exemption from the competitive bidding process. It's still competitive the way we're going to do it, but why is it phrased like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're right. It is still competitive. That's just how that's what they call the design bid build. They generally refer to that as the competitive bidding process.
And that's straight out of ORS 279C 335, is that it first says competitive bidding is the way in which all public improvement contracts shall be based unless you meet this exemption. And so that's where that language comes from. It just says based on competitive bids except. And so you're right. They're still competitive in the vernacular.
Right.
You know, in the colloquial way we talk about competition.
I see.
It's just it's not the design bid build. This exemption, or it's considered an exemption, to go with the CMGC.
The process would be to submit or to advertise a request for proposal and solicit bids from our proposals from people wishing to be the general contractor for the project. And then the team would evaluate those, not only based just solely on the cost, but on their prior experience and expertise in building facilities specifically like the one we're trying to build with the complexities that we have here, where a design bid build would be solely based on pricing.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Well, let me offer a little bit of my experience. When I was working with the state, these type of exemptions were not often given, and instead we went with the lowest bidder. I remember working for the Secretary of State's office, and we went with the lowest bid on an elections piece of equipment. And the bidder was way, way below anybody else, so he got the contract and was about 6 months into it and said, well, I can't build it for this, so I'm going to have to quit. So I've learned from some of my colleagues that it's a good idea at times for government to act like a business. And this is how a business would operate, is that it would go out and find the best way to put together the project. I think the days of going with the lowest bidder are losing the shine because of the number of problems with it. And for an inside baseball term, there's also a lot of change orders that comes with the lowest bid, that someone will get their foot in the door and then say, by the way, if you want doorknobs, that's going to be an extra $50,000. So I've only had the experience of one, and that was the police station. And there were a couple of times when that was really helpful, that we were able to renegotiate on the fly as we were designing and building this project. So it still does have the safeguards. Tracy, thanks for catching that we have words and we have words, but yes, this is still going to be a competitive process, that we are going to be asking for the best person to come in and do this.
Well, and I can just attest, frankly, because I've been working out in that building for the last year and a half, that there's been numerous other police agencies who come through that building and wonder how the heck they created that building for that cost. Because all of them are finding out it's costing millions of more dollars to have less square footage and less of what a police station needs. And part of that is the economy, but part of that is just, I think this process actually worked out really well in cost savings, as well as giving you exactly what you want.
Other questions?
Good.
One more.
Sure, Tracy.
And so, you'd said that we were looking for people that have experience with the CMGC process too, right? Was that outlined?
Yes.
And there are plenty of folks that have a lot of experience with that, even though it's an exemption.
Yes, that's one of the factors, whether or not we believe we would be limiting the pool of available contractors, and that we don't. It's been a contracting method that's been used frequently, and there are people out there that have the experience and are currently utilizing the method for similar projects around the state.
Okay. Cool.
Other questions?
I'm done.
You okay? Clint? anything?
I'm comfortable with this method.
Okay. We'll now move on to the opening of the public hearing for testimony. Do we have any proponents, that's people that wish to speak in favor of the CMGC exemption, that would like to come forth? Seeing none, do we have any opponents, those who are opposed to it? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and then continue on. Does the agency have any further questions, having heard the testimony presented?
I'm a little confused by the testimony.
Yes. And now finally, we have the discussion portion of it, where we as the body discuss among ourselves how we feel about that. Does anyone have any additional comments or discussion they'd like to make?
Best way to go.
Seems like a good plan.
Okay, we will memorialize your thoughts in a few minutes when we formally adopt a resolution. But as the chair, and for the record, because this is a challengeable action that we are taking, I would just like to test the agency by saying, are you convinced that the staff has made the case that it is unlikely that this exemption will encourage favoritism in awarding a public improvement contract? Any doubts? Any further questions on that? All right.
No, none at all.
Are you likewise convinced that it will not substantially diminish the competition for this public improvement contract?
No.
Any comments? All right. And do you have any questions, and are you convinced that awarding a public improvement contract under this exemption will likely result in substantial cost savings and other substantial benefits to the contracting agency? That is us. Are you
No
convinced of
questions,
that?
and yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What we've seen happen here, so.
Well, those are the three main firewall questions. Joe, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. If there's no further discussion, we will move on in the agenda to resolutions and ordinances. Kim?
First item we have is URA 15-004. This is granting an exemption from competitive bidding for the construction of the Canby Library/Civic Building by means of a construction manager, general contractor, and authorizing selection by request for proposals. And the recommended motion is,
It should be on the
it's on the
last page.
I think it's back on. Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I move to
Excuse
adopt
me, wait,
resolution
just one second.
number- No, okay.
Sorry. It's not necessary to recess and reconvene, but it is necessary for the board to acknowledge that you are acting as the local contract review board before you make a motion.
Do you need that just by a consensus agreement?
Yeah,
or
I think you
formal
just need to
motion?
formally say it, all of you acknowledge that you are acting as the local contract review board.
All righty. Is the agency by consensus okay with stipulating that we are acting as the local contracting review board? Joe, you okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay for the motion now?
Thank you.
Oh, is it okay for the motion now?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, very well. I'll repeat. Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number URR 15-004, inclusive of the staff report and findings as presented herein. A resolution granting exemption from the competitive bidding for construction of the Canby Library Civic Building by means of a construction manager, general contractor, and authorizing selection by request for proposals.
And is there a second?
Second. Excuse me.
I got you. It has been moved by Commissioner Hensley, seconded by Commissioner Height, to adopt resolution number URR 15-004, inclusive of the staff report and findings as presented herein. A resolution granting exemption from competitive bidding for construction of the Canby Library and Civic Building by means of a construction manager, general contractor, and authorizing selection by request for proposals. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. Oh, excuse me.
6-0.
Thank you. That's 6-0.
Sorry.
And Kim, did you catch that earlier when I said 7-0 on the consent motion? Thank you. Habits.
Sorry.
All right. Amanda, do we have any further business tonight?
No, thank you.
Agency, do you have anything you wish to bring up?
No.
All right. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hensley and seconded by Vice Commissioner Hudson that we adjourn. It is non-debatable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that carries 6-0. And we are closed. Thank you, Canby. Please tune in 43 minutes for our regular city council meeting. See you then.